to all those who are watching me across the state, I actually didn't know we are already on air, and yes, it's a lovely afternoon. It's a good time, and I must say that education can never be overrated in terms of emphasis because of the cost of ignorance in our country. Maybe not just in our country, Nigeria, maybe across the globe. But education is an ammunition and an arsenal against ignorance and destruction of our society. The discussion shouldn't be instilling education. It should be regularly improving and updating knowledge. Again, I welcome you to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, your executive producer, your chief host of this platform. My name remains Kike Atanda-Owo. I think it's important for us to hear what on this day in history segment asks for us. So when I come back, I give my 2 cents and they stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. My takeaway from on this day in issue segment today is about the founding fathers that have really done a lot for this country and for, will I say, this country, and of course the legacy that still lives until date. That is the purpose of this on this day in history segment today. I'll be on this platform generally. Apart from the independence struggle and the nationalism, they have put forward their own guiding principle. The question is, how are we building on these legacies? We have also, I think my takeaway also is also the succession bias, in terms of ethnical bigotry, political sentiment, religious partnerships that continues to divide us in this country. And on this note, I think that's my takeaway. But it's important for us to hear what get the message from my sponsors. When I return, we'll dive straight to the topic at and stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 24th January as International Day of Education, and in celebration of the role of education for peace and development. For this year, the theme is AI and education. Preserving human agency in a world of automation was adopted, and the 2025 International Day of Education encourages reflections on the power of education to equip individuals and communities to navigate, understand, and influence technology advancements. As a computer and an AI-driven system as it become more sophisticated, the boundaries between human intentions and machine-driven actions often need to be addressed. Raising critical questions about how to preserve or redefine and ideally elevate human agency in an age of technological acceleration. And on the live show today, I will be diving into a topic that sits on the very intersection of technology and education, AI and education, preserving human agency in a world of automation. Like I said earlier, I will be looking at the matter from the global and Nigerian context. We may also explore a bit about our recent development in the educational sphere of Nigeria. How do we ensure that technology enhances, or rather than replaces, the human element in education? Also, I will be touching on how can we bridge that digital divide, to ensure that there's fairness and inclusion for all. Before I delve into Real Talk with my guest, I think it's important for us to play the profile, and when I return, we will be speaking with him. Stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Real Talk with Kike. All right, welcome to the show again. For those who are just tuning in, let me use this opportunity to quickly usher in my guest, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, the head of Public Affairs and Protocols, Joint Administration and Matriculation Board, JAM, Nigeria. It is a pleasure to have you again on Real Talk with Kike today. And our last engagement was on radio about the young girl with exam malpractice last year. And I must say many thanks for constantly, honoring my invitation despite the short notice and your own busy schedule. I know that there's a lot happening at your end at the moment, but we still consider, or you still continually, render your voice on issues that affect us all, and I want to really specially thank you for that. Again, Happy New Year, sir.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. I consider this a very big honor to be given this opportunity, at least to speak to Nigerians.
All right, many thanks again for creating time to be here. So let's dive to the main issue at hand, because United Nations theme, like I said in my intro, for International Education Day this year is AI and education. For those who do not understand what AI means, this artificial intelligence, what do you see about this on both global and national scale? And the reason why I'm bringing this to fall is because the advanced countries have gone far, but have we in terms of AI, do we even have enough literacy, let alone computer literacy, before we delve into artificial intelligence in our educational system? There have been multiple controversies about AI and education, as it's urged that it will make students depend on machines for information. They will not be research-oriented. It is also argued that it can mislead because of cases of inaccuracy of information. What do you see about these controversies, and maybe its regulation is what I'm struggling to remember now in terms of the educational sector?
Well, thank you very much. You cannot de-emphasize the importance of AI in education. You can see that it's been embraced in all facets of our life, and education cannot be an exception. What we in education sector do is to ensure that we begin to define the perimeter of its usage, and then to also be very cautious in some areas of its applicability. It is a noble innovation that has come to change the entire narrative of how things should be done, and education, we're also embracing it. Though for us in the examination sector, we are embracing it with caution because we are not there yet by way of technology in our nation. So we cannot begin to take the full advantage as others would have done in other developed climes. We will come at our own pace. We will take it in pieces, and then we'll get there. But in a nutshell, to answer your question, it is a welcome development, and I believe every right-thinking human being should begin to see it as something that he or she should embrace and begin to allow it to form part of one's life.
If you say it's a welcome development, so let me come from the angle of you being a stakeholder, because as a stakeholder in the education sector, one of the reasons entrance examination were established according to principle on establishing these exams to ensure standards of students graduating from secondary schools to universities. Many students may get away with cheating using AI. How do we want to secure our future that a medical doctor is not a quack under the help of AI, and the engineers building our bridges, our houses, really have the technical capability or capacity to do so without, running into disasters?
Well, for us in JAM, we are an examination body and we operate within the examination industry. However, even for those, if you look at education in the larger term, you will see that there are limitations. Yes, it comes with a lot of advantages, but there are limitations in its own operations. And for every segment of education, even in its own usage, there are limitations, there are barriers, there are gates that one must not begin to, encroach into. For instance, in the examination sector, we have checks and balances in the conduct of examination and even in the area of learning. Well, its advantages is mostly in the area of research and stuff like that. But when it comes to examination or the performance of the candidate, there are ways that the natural ability of an individual will still be examined to establish that, okay, you must first of all have the basis, the background, for you to even begin to use some of these tools. For instance, I will tell you that if today you ask an AI, how many governors, it should give you 10 governors in the list of presidents of Nigeria, you will begin to see the limitation of even the tool itself. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that the usage is not as total as one would want to believe. There are limitations at each point. There are gates of operations. But the advantages is that it makes research easier. You can find anything that you want to find easily with AI. But that does not mean that, for instance, for us in the examination industry, we will now leave our gate open for candidates to begin to do whatever they want to do. Even though, yes, we are also thinking, we are transitioning to ensure that even when we want to do things with AI and all those things, there could be innovations that you could do that will still allow you to actually know the true test of who the candidate is. For instance, we're talking about open book examination. These are innovations that one will begin to think of, okay, what do we do? Even when a candidate, you give in an examination, you say, okay, this is an open book. Yet you will be able to identify the ability of that particular candidate, even in that particular kind of system of examination. So, while we're looking at it, we're looking at the provisions, whatever it has, the advantages, and seeing how we can also define our environment of operation to ensure that AI does not destroy the essence of education.
Many thanks for that insight, and I like the fact that you've emphasized on AI not destroying the educational system. But how does JAM view the potential of AI now in addressing the shortage of STEM graduates in Nigeria, given that only 22% of graduates in 2022 pursued STEM degrees? And aside that question, another question that is coming to mind, if you can answer because of time, is as AI also transforms the job market, how is JAM now adapting its policies to ensure that students are prepared for AI-driven careers? Because however we look at it, AI has come to stay. I like the fact that you also emphasize on, going to even ask certain questions about governors, providing certain answers. I did an examination before coming on air. I just asked the AI about myself. Another person's picture came in. So how do we find a balance in all of this?
So those are the limitations I'm talking about. That the over reliance on AI will also has its own problems. But what we are doing in the area of let me just generalize for an examination body. AI can help you in the area of development of items. What I mean development of items is a setting of questions and stuff like that. For instance, you pick your syllabus, you can dump it somewhere, and you say, okay, this syllabus, give me critical questions. I want to have 1 million questions. I want to have this also number of questions. AI should be able to do some of those things and stuff like that. But again, when you look at the conduct of the exercise, you can create, yes, we are doing e-examination now, which is called some people electronic examination or whatever it is. But there are limitations. When you say electronic examination, there are limitations for the conduct of the examination where AI tools will not be allowed to be used by the candidate. But you can take advantage of AI in the area of setting of item development, in the area of research to see what can we do to ensure that exam malpractice is drastically reduced. You can even use AI in the area of monitoring of examination. For us, we use CCTV camera to monitor our exam. We use other software to monitor the exam, live coverage of the exam. We sit in Abuja here to see how we can monitor all our centers across the nation. AI can be handy in those particular areas. And there are so many innovations that you can bring to bear, because one of the problems of the examination industry globally, not only in Nigeria, is exam malpractice. By the time when we are doing paper and pencil tests, yes, it was very rampant. But when we transition from paper and pencil tests to computer-based tests, we reduced the incidence of exam malpractice. But one thing that is still there that we are still fighting is the issue of impersonation. And that issue of impersonation, AI can also help to identify candidates and all those things. So there are areas that you can fully embrace AI to take advantage of, to make your examinations, to enhance the sanctity of the examination and stuff like that. But there are areas that you can also create limitation and all this, because as human, we can dictate the pace of what we want to do with AI or how we want to take advantage of the AI and stuff like that. But when you talk about labor market, what can we do to ensure that at least our products are there and stuff like that, is to take advantage. You have to understand where the world is going for you to be relevant. And that explains why, if you look at the National University Commission or the various regulatory body controlling the various arms of education that we have in Nigeria, when I mean arms, I mean the polytechnic, the colleges of education, and the universities. Day in, day out, they keep reviewing the syllabus. Like what the NUC has come up with, the 60 marks now, to review the syllabus to meet the contemporary challenges that we are in now. Because where the world is going, you must also ensure that your education system also catches up with the world. So much so that you have products that globally they can match anywhere, they can go anywhere, and then still find something to do and stuff like that. We are de-emphasizing certificate. We are moving towards the area of what you can do. We are moving towards the area of skills. We are moving towards the area of technology. Even today I was discussing with a friend. I said, look, at this age now, if you have a child, a ward, or anybody who is going to school, you must guide him to ensure that whatever he's doing is something that he can go out there and showcase whatever he has, skills that he has. Otherwise, it will be difficult for him to survive. So these are issues that stakeholders are putting together to see that curriculums are developed, and then some of these things are embedded into the curriculum to ensure that whoever is being trained for 4 years in university goes out there with something that he or she can demonstrate and then be relevant. Because AI too still needs something that one can put in for you to get something out.
Thanks again for that, your elaborate submission right there. We'll go on a quick break to get a word from my sponsors. When I return, the conversation will continue. Please stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Real Talk with Kike. All right, glad to know you're still right there with us. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is halfway through of our conversation, and I hope you are finding the discussion as enlightening as I am. If you are just tuning in again, please welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, Kike Atanda-Owo. And today, for those who are just tuning in, I must emphasize that we are exploring how AI, is transforming education while preserving the human element in a world where rapidly, shifting towards automation, with Dr. Fabian Benjamin, the PRO of JAM, and we've been unpacking how AI is reshaping examination processes and, of course, preparing students for future careers and fairness in access to education, with all that, Dr. Fabian have shared thus far. And I want to say many thanks, Dr. Fabian, Benjamin, for all that you've shared thus far and for creating time to be here today. Let me use this opportunity to quickly open the phone lines for those who would like to be part of this conversation. Remember that you can call the studio number. It will be showing on your screen very soon. We just changed the number. And of course, we're streaming live on Facebook, on Real Talk with Kike platform, and of course on Silverbird platform. And please remember to go on my YouTube page, Real Talk with Kike, and get yourself enlightened, because there's a lot of educative content right there instead of going through gossip on social media. All right, now, so guys, Dr. Fabian, let me come to you quickly. Will I say exclusion of Nigerian candidates from the YX PCI resist exam raised regarding some of the questions that have been raised. I don't know if I'm putting it properly, but I must ask, I think my question is about the specific challenges that you feel that Nigerians are going through in terms of the educational system that might have influenced this decision. What is the feasibility of introducing a smaller receipt program within Nigerians' existing examination framework? Because this has become a debate online. What's your I need you to provide more insight on this.
Sorry, if I get you right, because at the point the network was freezing, you were talking about the challenges of education, but I heard you say talking about receipt. I don't know what you mean by receipt system.
Yes, in recent times.
When you talk about the challenges of education, I don't know if you could just explain that so that I understand your question.
Yes, I'm talking about the challenge of education because, in recent times there have been different, debates online regarding how YX exclusion of Nigerian candidates for their receipt exams that people have been debating about regarding why must it happen within that short period of time, in terms of these receipt programs within Nigeria that already exist. So why their question is, why are they introducing such again?
Well, you see, for every nation, the system that is being developed is to address the peculiar challenges of that particular nation. If you look at our own system of education, you will see that there are a lot of desperation inbuilt in the system. For instance, I operate within the examination sector. And when you bring somebody from Europe to come and monitor the kind of examination we do in Nigeria, the question he will be asking you is that, is examination war? Because he will see the level of deployment of security, the level of deployment of supervisors, the level of deployment of officials, invigilators, monitors, and all kind of people that to ensure that the sanctity of that examination is being maintained. In other climes, you don't see such a thing. For instance, I kept giving an example of the Netherlands. If you go to the Netherlands, the terminal examination you are talking about, like WAEC, what the CITO will do, CITO will just send questions to the principal of that school. The principal administer that examination, mark the script, and send the result back to Netherlands for Netherlands to give the certificate to the various candidates. But I guess if you do that kind of thing in Nigeria, those principals will just create a market somewhere where they will be selling those questions and stuff like that. So that is the peculiar nature of our system. And for us to also operate, for us to ensure that whatever we are giving out by way of certificate are respected, we must design some abnormal processes that will ensure that we check all these abuses that people are ready to do. Because we operate a system whereby a lot of people are selfish. They only think about what they can gain from whatever system. They don't think about the nation. They don't think about the interests of the candidate or the future of the education sector entirely. So that explains why you begin to see some of these things. And for some people that are well exposed, who have traveled wide, when they come back to Nigeria, they begin to see some of these things that we do. It gives them a lot of challenges for them to understand, because they begin to compare our system with what they've seen elsewhere. But you must also understand that we have our own peculiarities. And it's because of those peculiarities that we design our system to address those peculiarities, to ensure that at the end of the day, in the final analysis, whoever is being produced as a candidate at least justify whatever he has gone through and stuff like that. So there is nothing strange about our system, apart from the fact that, look, the institutions are only trying to address the peculiarity that are associated with the society that those institutions operate in. For instance, you talk about WAEC and stuff like that. Yes, there could be a receipt system that is there for candidates to say, okay, look, if you have not done well, this is what you should do and stuff like that. But this kind of thing may not be happening elsewhere. But it is for a particular reason that if you go, don't operate within the the YX system and all this, I won't know much about what they do. But for us in JAM, where we do selection, examination, and all these things, there are a lot of innovation that we have introduced into the examination to ensure that we check exam malpractice, to guarantee equity, to ensure that everybody is given a level playing ground to operate and all this. Because the essence of our existence is to create that equity, equality of competition for the available spaces that are there.
All right, many thanks for throwing more light on that issue at hand, because it's a big debate online. But this might be my last question to you because of time, and I know that you also have other engagements at your end. So, with the introduction of the Nigerian Learning Passport offering over 15,000 educational resources, how will this affect JAM's curriculum and examination content? What's your take on this?
Well, that will not affect us much in the true sense of what government is doing, or the definition of that, because we are a selection examination. Selection in the sense that we have spaces, limited spaces in the tertiary institution, and government felt that, look, there should be an institution that can manage this particular process. If you look at our name, it's Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. Examination is not even there. What that means is that examination is just accidental. It was not the intention of the framers of the establishment of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. Examination became a vehicle because there is no any other true way of ensuring that at least you have a fair and equitable way of selecting candidates. So what we do is just to ensure that, look, out of these many candidates, the best are selected, and then this best or this candidate, all of them are given equal opportunity to compete in such a way that even that candidate that is not selected, he or she feels very safe, feels very satisfied with the process. So it's not going to affect us because our primary responsibility is still there, and it has been there from 1978 to date. If you look at the creation of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, it was not actually the idea of government. It was the universities themselves that came together and said, look, let us have a body that can take this burden out of our shoulder so that we'll concentrate on the basic work of a university, which is research, learning, and stuff like that. So that was how JAM came into being. So what we do is organize this examination, conduct this examination, and hand over the result to the tertiary institution, and then sit back and ensure that whatever we have given them, they are selecting this candidate based on these parameters that we have given, that they have given us in the first instance, that we have key into what we call a central admission processing system, to ensure that no candidate is cheated, no candidate is denied his rightful place where he or she is supposed to be picked. We ensure that he is picked. So that is not going to affect us because we are not actually in the sector, in the stage of learning. We are only at the stage of selection. And once we conduct this examination and the selection process is through, we have no further interaction with this candidate. We hand over this candidate to the tertiary institution. The tertiary institution will now groom this candidate to bring them to the level of what they want for the labor market and stuff like that. And that explains why each time we keep saying that, look, in the conduct of admission, there is no way you can exclude the tertiary institution, because in the final analysis, they are the ones that are going to use this end product. And they must also have a hand. When people talk about why do we allow universities, polytechnic, and college education to still conduct for UTME, we say, look, the institution must still have a say or a role in selecting the kind of candidate that they want to come to them. You cannot just sit down and just pick something and just push it to them and all this thing, because when everything in the if the candidate that you have given to them, if their performance is not up to what is being expected, JAM will not be blamed. It is the institution that will blame, and because it is the institution that will blame, so they must have an input into whatever the selection process that the JAM matriculation board is overseeing. So to answer your question, it's not going to affect us because our processes are clear. They've been as long as old as you could, the establishment of the board, and I'm not sure that it's going to change in the near future.
Right, again, many thanks for all your submission thus far. If you have the time, if you can join me on the trending stories. If not, you can't be excused. But this if you are familiar with our platform, Real Talk with Kike. So the last segment of the show is the trending stories. These are stories that affect us as Nigerians, as humans, as Africans. And the first trending story that caught my attention is that of the Idibia and Two-Face split saga. It's all over the place. It's been there for over 48 hours, and I felt that I needed to bring this conversation to fore. First off, I must say that the foundation of both of them, determines the future. Where am I coming from? the foundation of their marriage or their relationship had so many red flags from the beginning. I want to keep it real as much as I can, because Annie chose to stay, believing that love was an opening for the best in the relationship or in the marriage or in the partnership. You know, we as women empathize with her because love is not a crime. She made a choice, and everything in her life is a choice. I must emphasize on that as everything is a choice wherever we find ourselves. So Annie chose, you know, Two-Face despite all the odds. You know, she stood by him during the early days of his rising music and entertainment career. She stayed even when after Two-Face, you know, impregnated other women or, you know, had children with other women. She stayed when Two-Face continued to see his baby mama, you know. I don't want to mention anybody's name right now. And which was one of the things that led to their open crisis, you know, 2 years back, which we've been hearing all sorts of audios flying in here and there in the last 12 hours as well. People, you know, pulling back the old, you know, recording. So she saw the red flags, but she chose to love him endlessly and selflessly, if I must add. So as I said earlier, love is not a crime. But we women should start placing ourselves above men in relationships. We must learn to start placing ourselves first. It's called self-love. It's about you know, nurture yourself first, especially when it comes to times like this. It's not a matter of being selfish or anything. This is why I believe that women are rallying around her today, because many women understand what it means to love a man deeply, selflessly, endlessly, even to their own detriment. I've been in their shoes before. But here is the hard truth. Men will always choose themselves first. Out of experience, out of, you know, maturity now, I understand that I must teach my children self-love. So I want to say kudos to many women who are rallying around her, but we must learn to put ourselves first. I want to emphasize that on this issue at hand. What Annie tolerated, accommodated, endured, most men can never handle a fraction of it if the table are turned. Let's keep it real. Imagine if another man, you know, touch your wife, so to speak, just by the waist or holding her by the shoulder. Some marriages could collapse from there. All sorts of dramas and possible divorce could happen. There was a time in recent times I heard when someone very close to me was saying, oh, even my brothers don't allow their wives to hug another person. I'm like, are they in bondage? Where are you people from? So, yeah, women endure so much. Now, looking at Two-Face's side, we must admit, or should I say, I don't know if I should take ownership now, because we don't know the full story, guys. We don't know what's going through his mind, what he has been through. It's important not to rush into judgments. One thing I want to commend him from me, I'm saying now, that he's keeping his cool, not running to social media to spill all the garbage and the nitty-gritty of their daily lives, apart from the fact that he came out to say, oh, we want to take this step to divorce. Hello. Their marriage have always been in the public space. So does he owe us that information? Maybe yes. But this is a man who is not coming out to share all the nitty-gritty. As far as I'm concerned, this shows a certain level of maturity, even though he is the genesis of all these challenges at hand. So, and when you look at the video that he later put out after, you know, all sort of back and forth content, oh, somebody, you know, tampered with my IG and the likes and all of that, later saying that, no, it's the truth and all of that. When you listen closely, look closely, you will know that there's more to this man. From his voice, from his demeanor, you know, so many things are going on. So, I'm not saying Two-Face is a saint, though. Two-Face is not innocent, or as his name is innocent. He's not innocent. And Annie too is not innocent. They are both guilty. So what saddens me the most is how social media has turned their pain into a circus. Casting blame, criticizing this, you know. Some people are even going as far as cursing. Please, what happened to hearing from them first before fueling social media frenzy? I don't understand. Which one are we living today? At the end of the day, we should focus on the main issue at hand and pray for them. More importantly, what are the lessons from this situation? And the reason why I'm talking about the lessons now is that we must save the next girl, to teach the next girl, to teach the next generation. As women, we need to prioritize self-love, self-development. I don't know how much I want to emphasize on this. Economy power. Let's empower ourselves so that we are not stuck in situations where we have to sacrifice our happiness and our love that isn't serving us at all. The society has moved past this. Whether you are married, you don't need marriage to validate your existence, whether as a man or as a woman. I don't know, I don't want to say too much. But finally, please, like I said earlier, let's pray for them. Two-Face and Annie are not the first. They won't be the last in divorce. That's the honest truth. Divorce is not the end of life. Sometimes it's the beginning of growth, it's the beginning of healing, and even prosperity. I use myself as an example. It might help them to even become better individuals, better co-parent peacefully, and even be best of friends. Instead of judgments, let's pray for healing. Let's seek for wisdom and for growth for both of them. And remember that God is your source, not any man or marriage. We all have our problems, our challenges. This could be their own challenge. Those people who are sitting down and typing away all sorts have their own challenges, but they will pour into other people. And if you don't have common sense to understand that there's nobody living on earth that doesn't have one or two challenges, do not listen to these people, but for you to just focus on your life. But remember, as a girl, as a lady, as a woman, the economy power and self-love is key in whatever relationship that you find yourself. I don't know. That's my 2 cents on this issue at hand. I don't know if my guest is still there, if you can lend his voice. Okay, unfortunately, I understand that he has joined this meeting. But quickly, let me come to my second trending story. The second trending story for me is also very sadly, I don't know what is happening in the head. You know, there was something I saw yesterday, I don't know if it's yesterday or 2 days ago, about a nursing mother reportedly kills a maid, allegedly, for watching TV with her kids in Owerri. You know, all these Igbo people, people that have Igbo blood, all these Igbo people, I don't know if I should come after, but opportunity differentiates us, guys. Be it fame, be it class, be it wealth, environment, race, or, you know, these are the things that set us apart. But beyond all of that, no human being is more privileged than the other. We are all the same. And yet, we are here witnessing such crazy. I just can't wrap my head around how some people can be so callous. Callous. We are all humans though, right? But it seems like some people just forget that in their own interaction with others, especially employees, that we are all human. If you cannot treat your worker with empathy and sensitivity, then please don't hire them. It's not about workers now, or maid, or caregivers. Wow, I just feel that, please, there's no perfection in us now. We make errors, we make mistakes every day. But what happened to kindness? I was discussing with my PA earlier, regarding a situation at hand, about some of the challenges we see today is a foundational problem. Most children are not raised in love. And it fosters into the community they now find themselves when they get married, in their workplace. Most parents are not, imbibing kindness into their children. I tell my children, I do not want you to come back home with just being a first-class student. I want to see in your results that they are saying that my child is a kind child. My child is this. My child shares. I don't know the kind of upbringing we are giving our children today. That's the reason why I believe that you will see some people, they will go extra miles of, punishing others, sometimes even to the point of taking their lives. What if the maid was your family member or a relative? Would you still treat them like that? Some people are really mean in this world, are wicked. Sometimes, even from a workplace, even amongst communicating with people, it shows who they are, where they are coming from. It's beyond belief. There are hardly any laws protecting people in situations like this. Sometimes when I'm also debating with my husband at home, he will tell me there are laws. Who is implementing the law? It's disheartening to think that people can be so heartless when they hold power over another human being. The case of this nursing mother who allegedly killed a maid in Owerri is heartbreaking for me. The young girl was punished just for sitting with the employer's children to watch TV. Watch TV. That's what cost her life. Please, I ask again in pain. Is this the kind of... I don't know if this is what we should be accepting in our society that we live in today, and tomorrow we'll all dress up and look fine, and when we get to function, you'll be doing, hello. You don't know what these people do behind cameras. I don't know. This is a life lost over something so trivial or trivial. English wants to fail me. And this woman's actions are inexcusable if you ask me. I don't care whatever thing she wants to say. Come on. I've had people work with me, domestic staff. Even in my organization, I've had them for decades. They sleep on the same bed with my children. They eat the food that my children eat. They travel with me abroad. Every human being is equal. Opportunities just made us differ. These tragic incidents shed light on the desperate need for better regulation and protection for domestic staff in Nigeria. There must be more laws in place to ensure that the rights of domestic staff, especially young maids, are protected and respected. Once we get one scapegoat, we need one scapegoat. And this particular woman is the right scapegoat. She must serve. Honestly, if I'm a son in this country, situation like this does not even need plenty review. We can't keep turning a blind eye to things like this. We need laws that punish those who exploit and harm vulnerable individuals in such a horrible way. As much as people are quick to condemn and shout for justice, let's not forget to keep punishing for change. We need to keep speaking up for those who cannot speak for themselves, whether it's a maid, a worker, or any other privileged individual. Because at the end of the day, we are all human. No one should suffer this kind of regardless of your position in society. Let's focus on demanding justice now. Let's put our energy. Let's not just talk. Let's put energy into making sure that that innocent life is not just lost. But more importantly for me, let's push for future. where we don't have to witness such useless act of violence or wickedness again. We need to look out for one another. Sometimes, even as neighbors, when you see certain things, please, can you speak up? Don't wait until somebody will now take the lives of somebody before you now say, you've been seeing marks on the person's child and the likes are not. Speak up before it gets to that level. Let me hold my breath, because life is hard already. Why must we add to this? People are a reflection of their homes. Can we do better in making sure that we raise our children well, and we are better people, so that our children can emulate good in the society and community at large? I think that is where I want to draw the curtains of that. With that, I think this is where I end the show. Indeed, I had an awesome show on today's episode. I want to say many thanks again to our resourceful guest, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, for lending his voice on the educational sector when it comes to AI, and of course in making sure that learning continues and finding a balance in the educational system that we find ourselves in this country. Again, my name remains Kike Atanda-Owo. Remember to care, to be kind to one another, and remain safe wherever you find yourself. Bye now.